Hey everybody, it's Dr. Steve Fleischer of Everybody's Chiropractic and Wellness here in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and this next video series is all about healthier children. We're going to be discussing the 5 most dangerous things that happen to our children that affect their health down the road and also sometimes immediately. And then I'm going to be giving you 5 tips, things that you can do to help raise healthier children. The last thing I'm going to go over are the top 3 conditions that parents bring their children in for to get care in my office. But today we're going to start with the birth process. The birth process is the number 1 and the first most dangerous thing that happens to our children. You may be asking yourself, well, what happens to the child? It's all about the mom. She's in this pain and everything. Well, there's 2 people involved with the birth process. And whatever the mom goes through, the child goes through also. The more difficult the birth for the mom, the more difficult the birth for the child, which can lead to complications and health issues right as they come out of the womb. Not a very good start. So, well, how does this happen? Well, it all has to do with the position that the mom delivers in. Now, if you recall from other videos, the spine's supposed to have 3 curves. This is the front, and this is the back. The neck and the low back have curves towards the front. And so, when moms are giving birth, they're flat on their back with the legs up in the air. Now, first of all, this is very curious to me to begin with, because when the mom is supposed to be in control of her body and what's going on, she's laying in a submissive position. That doesn't make sense right off the bat. The next thing that occurs, though, is that when the mom's on her back with her feet up in stirrups, it flattens the curve in the low back. It puts stress to the nervous system down there. So oftentimes moms get back pain. They can get sciatica. Sometimes they get numbness. Now, those same nerves that are creating those problems are also the same nerves that go to the birthing organs. So the messages can't get from the brain to those birthing organs as properly as they should. So maybe the cervix doesn't dilate as quickly as it should. And maybe that the contractions don't happen as quickly or as powerfully as they should. And it causes problems with the labor and delivery. The other thing, just from a mechanical standpoint, when a woman is laying on her back, it doesn't allow the pelvis, the bones of the hips and the sacrum, to open up as big as they could if she was in a different position to make it easier for that baby to come out. As a result, you've got doctors that are pulling and twisting and cranking on those babies' necks to get them out. If not, then they use the forceps, the big salad tongs, to pull on their heads and get them out. Sometimes they use a vacuum extractor. And other times when that doesn't work, they move into the C-section. But we'll get to the C-section in a second. So we've got the mom flat on her back, not in a great position. Labor's taking longer than normal. It starts to hurt. Maybe they got an epidural first, or maybe they're getting an epidural now. Well, within about 45 seconds of the epidural being in the mom, it's in the baby at the mom's weight. So the baby is literally overdosing. It causes the fetal heart rate to slow down, and then it's an emergency situation. That's what's happening to the baby. However, at the same time, when the mom gets the epidural, it's a medication that dulls the nerves so they don't feel the pain anymore. Well, guess what? It also dulls the same nerves that go to those birthing organs. So labor slows or maybe even stops. And then all of a sudden, the doctors have to give another drug, which is called Pitocin. Pitocin is supposed to get those contractions going again after the epidural slowed it down. So there's all these drugs that are in the mom, there's all these drugs that are going into the baby right before the baby even comes out. Well, if this is unsuccessful, then they move into the C-section. And people think, well, it's just a C-section, they take a cut, they pull the baby out, boom, over and done with. The unfortunate thing with that is that the child does not get a chance to go through the normal physiological processes that occur during the birth process. Things that don't seem like such a big deal, for example, like going through the birth canal. It actually helps to awaken the baby, bring them out so they start breathing, and they know that they're going from the womb environment to the outside environment. The C-section is very traumatic to the mom. It can lead to complications down the road and prevent some of the other things that are necessary in the early days of the birth process. Now, there was a Dr. Gutman who did a study on about 1,000 newborns, and his research found that over 80% of those children that were delivered in this fashion had subluxations in the top 2 bones of their neck. That's 80% of children born in this country were getting subluxation. Now, if you recall, a subluxation is a misalignment of the spine that puts pressure on the nerves and causes health problems. So this is what we're calling an epidemic in my book, 80% of children getting these subluxations right at the minute of birth. So you can see how important it is to make sure that babies get checked right after they've been delivered. So that is the number one most dangerous thing that happens to children. As soon as they're brought into this earth, the birth process can cause the very first subluxations in their necks. So until next time, Dr. Steve Fleischer of Everybody's Chiropractic and Wellness. If you have more questions or if you want more information, you can go to my Facebook page, Dr. Steve Fleischer, Everybody's Chiropractic and Wellness. You can go to my YouTube page and see over 70 videos on there. My YouTube page is Everybody's Chiropractic and Wellness. I'm on Twitter at Dr. Steve Fleischer, and I'm also on Instagram at Dr.SteveFleischer. Until next time, Dr. Steve Fleischer of Everybody's Chiropractic and Wellness.